Hello soulmates, I welcome you all to today's tutorial. Is going to be another interesting class. So in this class we are going to learn how to draft, cut and sew an A-line gown. As beginners, let's start with something simple. Some is our client's measurements. It's an A-line gown. The gown length is 30 inches. Her shoulder measurement is 10.5. Her chest measurement is 25 inches and her waist measurement is 23 inches. Now the materials needed for this is pattern paper, your curve, tape measure, pencil and your scissors. I have here with me the material that we'll be needing for this class. So I have Ankara material. This is about a yard and a half. Okay, this is for a child of how old is she again? I think 6 years old. And in the front I decided to get this little material to embellish the front a little. And then I also got this trimmings. It is another trimmings. Okay, and then here we'll have our bias. We're going to use bias to turn the neck. We'll have our thread, matching thread to go with. So quickly I'm going to keep this aside and then we'll start drafting. Now the first thing we do is to measure out the length of this gown. So 30 inches. I'm not going to add any seam allowance. We'll add that when we are transferring to fabric. 30 inches, and I'll rule it. Okay, the next thing is to measure our shoulder measurement. The shoulder measurement we are using is 10.5 divided by 2. I have 5.25. So from this point I'll measure 5.25. To determine your neck dip, divide your chest circumference by 12. Okay, my cuff to connect. My shoulder slope will come down by 1. The next thing is to quickly divide our chest measurement divided by 4 minus 1. 25 divided by 4, 6.25 minus 1, 5.25. So from this shoulder slant, I'll measure 5.25. And I'll move my tape backward and I'll connect it with a line. Still on this place, I'll measure my shoulder measurement and transfer it to this my chest line so that I'll be able to mark out my armhole curve. Remember this line, I said bring it down with a dotted line because it's not actually important to me. I'm just using it for a guide. So after doing that, I will divide this line by 2 to get the midpoint. I'll divide it by 2 to get the midpoint. I'll put a dot there, rule it, and then I'll measure 5 inch inside. I'll connect it. Is to divide my waist measurement by 4. We have 6.25, and on this line I'll mark 6.25, and then I'll use my curve to connect these points together. Now for the down part, I'll bring in my chest measurement, I'll mark it down and I'll add 5 inches to it. And I'll add 5 inches. That is how much free I want this gown to be. Next thing, I'll come in with my ruler to connect the point. So I'm going to connect this point from my chest line to the tail end. I'll use this bold marker so that I can see it clearly. Having marked this out, the next thing I'll do now is to come down on this part. I'll go up by 1/2 inch. I'll use my curve and connect it back to this line. What am I trying to do? I'm just trying to eliminate that sharp curve that usually appear at the tail end of our gown. I just want this gown to, have a little curve. I'm trying to bolden the lines so that you can see them properly. That is it, guys. Our A line is ready. From the neck depth, to know the depth of how much I want to cut out, I'll measure from here. I'll measure about 6 inches. No, let's say 5 inches. I'll measure 5 inches. So I come down by 4 inches. I mark it, and then I'm going to connect this place now to what I have marked out here. So with my curve, I'll connect these 2 points like so. Do you see that? So the little design I want to do will be here, and then our gown will still be the same way it is. So here is it, guys. So for the back neck, I'm going to come down by 0.5 inch. So this is our back neck and this is our front neck depth. When we are transferring to fabric, you understand what I've done. So what I have to do now is to label. So this is my center front, CF, side front, SF. Okay, and that is it, guys. So I'll quickly cut it out now, and then we'll transfer to fabric. So coming over to this place, I'll make sure to cut only the back neck line. So we are done now. This is our pattern. Place my pattern on top of it. Here is our pattern. I've gone ahead to add seam allowance. Allowance is all through. I added 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and the neck line. So the next thing now is to cut out. And for this neck, back neck, I told you. And for my zip allowance, I will notch it here. Just so what I'll do is to remove the pins. Remember I said we are using this pattern to cut the front and the back. So we unpin. So this is our back pattern. This is the right time for us to cut out our neck line. So I'll quickly remove this. And but I'm going to detach it, and you know why I'm doing that. So let's cut out. Okay, make sure to keep it. This is the upper bodies of my gown. This is our pattern. I'm just turning it over to you. Quickly paste it down now. Add the allowances and cut out. So I've pasted it now. I'm going to measure 1 inch on this side, 1/2 inch for joining, 1/2 inch for the armhole, and I'll mark it out and I'll show you. I've marked out all the allowances, and now I'll cut out. So the next thing to do is to cut out this front piece. It's important. I'll place it like so, and I'll pin it down. Half-inch allowance all through. That's it, guys. So the next thing, I'll grab this my little material. I'll paste it on top of it. Here is our pattern, guys. This is the upper body. This is the one I cut out, that I altered a little bit, and this is the down part of it for the front, and this is the back. Okay, so I'll see you all in sewing machine. Let's begin to join and sew our beautiful gown. Let's start sewing now. So this is still our pattern, so I will just remove the pins now. Remember, this is the back, so I will just lay this one. So I will sew it now. So after sewing it up like this, I'll gently trim off all these excesses I don't need it. So this now has become one fabric. So having joined that, I'll grab the down part of my front pattern, keeping my pattern aside. I'll notch the center, and I'll also notch the center part. Okay, so laying them together like this, making sure that center to center align. From this point to this other point, mark your half-inch, mark it all the way, and then you sew it down. What to do is to notch, sew it. See, that's the little thing I was trying to create. Okay, so having done that, the next thing we do is to go and turn our neckline, and to do that, we are going to use our bias to turn. Place your bias on top of the right side. I'll turn it over to the other side. I'll turn it over like this and sew it at the back, sewing at the tip. I'm going to sew at this tip line down. Our neckline is ready. Down part, see the same thing. I'll sew the front of the bias on it, and I'll turn it over and finish it up. So I'll do that real quick and I'll show you. I've started sewing already. I just thought to show us the embellishments I got. Look what I've done with it. So I attach it to this fabric here, and I've done this one. So I'm going to fix this one now. Front part of this fabric, I look at this. This is the one I want to attach now. So I turn it over to the other side, and I sew it just on 1/4 inch space. Okay, I'll do it now. So I've sewn it down. So the next thing, I'll turn this over, and then I'll place this other one on top of it and sew it down. So I'm done, and you see how that turns out. To design yours anyhow you wish. Okay, so the next thing I'll do now, I'll go ahead and iron them properly, and then I'll iron my zipper allowance. I'm going to iron it down. Okay, so mate, so I've ironed it, so I'm going to sew it down. I measured about 14 inches to this point, so I'll sew it down now and fix the zipper. sure that the hem part matches up. I'll lay my zipper. All right, so mates, our gown is ready. I've joined the sides and everything is ready. Okay, so before I put it on the mannequin, I thought to show you something. So the remaining pieces of the gown, just looked at it and it was just nothing. I don't know, and it's not going to be used for anything though. So I decided to make a bow tie for this little girl. So here, with the remaining material, I thought to show you. The width is 10.5 and the length is 14 inches. So I'm going to do this off camera, but let me just explain. So what I'm going to do is, because I want the bow tie to be bouncy, okay, so I'm going to sew this hard net on top of it, just on one side, like this. I'm going to, attach it. After doing that, I'll sew the four edges of this fabric, leaving about 2 inches by the side here, leaving about 2 or 3 inches. So after sewing it down, I will, from that little open I created, I'm going to turn it over, then I'll iron it. And next thing, I'm going to use this strip. This is about 2 inches by 14 inches. So I'll still sew this, turn it over, iron it. Then after doing that, from that opening place that is already open, I'm going to, gather this together like so. I'm going to gather it together like so, and then I will use this strip as a band to roll it over, thereby covering that opening that I've created. And afterwards, I will not attach it on the I'll attach it for the baby. Okay, so I'm just trying to explain to you. By the time you see it on the mannequin, you will understand what I've done. Okay, soulmates. So thank you. This is the finished look of our gown, soulmates. I hope you like it, and I hope this tutorial has been very helpful to you. All right, thank you for joining me. Do practice and stay safe.